The starting point of aluminium producers is quite different. So if you're a producer with a captive coal-fired power plant and you could say a middle-aged hotline, you will most likely start at sort of roughly 18 tons of CO2 per aluminium, versus if you're a producer with captive hydropower, you could be starting with as little as 4. And therefore, your road to zero will also probably look a little bit different. I wanted to start here by just comparing a couple of the different metrics that one can use, starting from the more easily available levers like carbon compensation, which many producers have already started, looking at your raw material sourcing. So where do you really want to buy your pet coke or other fossil fuels? Is it from an easier source or a more difficult, higher emission source? Process optimization, digitalization, which can really bring significant incremental improvement at quite low cost. And then really getting to the bigger levers, which is obviously your energy transition, hotline efficiency, and then as the sort of last mile, we start talking about the specific process emissions. So getting rid of the emissions actually coming from the whole Heru or bio processes, and then carbon capture, which is also quite a theme, quite a lot talked about at the moment.
Just switching to some market trends. Clearly, we have a market still pretty much in oversupply, as we can see with the trends in consumption and production on the left-hand side, and the global market staying in significant oversupply and has been pretty much for the last couple of decades. Some very big surpluses earlier, but still in oversupply, likely to remain the case for a little while longer. And some data from the International Aluminium Institute shows production trends for the first half of this year. We can see global production was up 1.2%, but there has been some sizable increases, for example, in the Gulf region, Asia as well, but also some notable decreases in production growth.
Still, there is an optimism for aluminum industry in India. Because of the COVID lockdown happened, and then it disturbed the supply chain, and demand and supply is highly affected. So definitely the industries got affected also in India for the last 4-5 months. But now the primary as well as the secondary manufacturers are continuously showing improvement in their productions and sales. The industry is expected to recover completely by this year end. It is expected that aluminum demand in India will further grow at a CAGR of 8 to 10% in another 5 years. And starting from fiscal year 2021, if the vaccine comes, or this COVID, if this COVID problem is not persist. And it is also assumed that by year 2030, the aluminum consumption in India would be 3 times of the current consumption. So, this is the per capita consumption in India is only 3 per kg as of now. However, the global average is 11 per kg. So, the huge gap is also telling the same story. So, there is a lot of opportunities in India as far as the aluminum is concerned.
Of course, digital industry 4.0, all of these are widely talked about themes when you look at aluminium producer strategies, etc. But I think if we compare aluminium to steel, if we compare aluminium to oil and gas, there is a lot less scale. There are only, in fact, let's say around 200 aluminium smelters worth mentioning in the world, and that means that there's actually not that much repeatability. Different technology providers, there's also a relatively diverse field of technology, and the industry is still relatively conservative in terms of, for example, collaboration between technology vendors and aluminium producers, or sharing of data, etc. So I personally see that there are inroads being made into digitalizing, for example, primary aluminium production, but not at all at the speed that one could imagine, because of the sort of inherent conservativeness, but also because margins are relatively tight. And when you are investing into a new plant, most producers will say, well, I don't necessarily want this to be a testing ground for all new kinds of innovations that are yet not proven, but rather let's get us something that will for sure deliver the metal with a sort of lowest possible OPEX price based on and CapEx price, mind you, based on technologies that we know will for sure work and get started up quickly.
What do you think is going to be the spread on the Midwest transaction price and LME cash for 2021? Do you think the spread is going to be similar as the one that we had in 2020, or do you think that spread is going to be shorter or is going to be higher? Brian, I'm sorry, Robin Barr, please.
That's a very good question. A lot obviously depends on the US elections, because I think that spread could narrow if Biden wins, because he will seek to be a lot more diplomatic, seek to mend fences and therefore reduce trade tensions. And, you know, the widespread between the Midwest and the LME cash prices, you know, has been elevated, you know, over 10 cents per pound. That's, I think, will narrow should Biden win the election. If Trump gets re-elected, it's, as I said earlier, more of the same. And if anything, trade tensions remain, could increase, because, you know, he's shown himself to be America first and foremost, and therefore, you know, wants to make sure that China doesn't have an unfair advantage. To me, that means increased trade tensions, maybe more import tariffs, although I see Canada, I think, has been a country that, you know, has sought and got some relief from those Section 232.
My question to the Mr. Kapil, other panelists may add their comment. You know that, you know, India is importing a lot of energy in terms of gas, oil, or coal. So initially we can say that India is the energy starving country or the economy. So do you think that we should not focus on a more and more production of aluminium or the alumina, since we are you know, short with the energy, and this alumina require a lot of energy? Rather, you know, doing the production within a country, we should import the alumina and the aluminium. So do you think this is a viable option?
I mean, see, we are already doing a lot of import as far as the alumina is concerned, because although India is having a, you know, top 5 bauxite reserves country, but still we are not, you know, using our own this alumina because of a lot of, you know, infrastructure issues. Maybe in time to come, we might be able to use our alumina also, but and other way around, we are also focusing on, you know, this renewable energy, green energy. So in that way, we also want to save our minerals and all these things. If we want to save energy, then definitely we have to save the minerals. So the future is the recycle only. So if we will go more on recycle, then only we can, you know, save energy. We can save, you know, so that is only the way we can increase everything. And as you told that if we will depend upon the import, then definitely see whatever the economy of scale we want to give to our products, that will be difficult. So that is why we have to indigenously produce lot of aluminium, and there is an opportunity available already in India. Only things we have to channelize all these opportunities.